youngest religion in the world built a temple of their faith to become a prominent landmark in the capital of a country which still practices the oldest religion in the world. This lotus-shaped temple that was built in December 1986 is the designation of a place of worship of the Baha'i faith. Baha'i faith was founded by Baha'u'llah in the mid-18th century in Iran, following a lineage dating back to Abraham, Buddha, Christ and Muhammad, and professes the unity and oneness of mankind.
This place is symbolic of the oneness of humankind. The purpose why the Baha'i houses of worship exist is really to prove this unity and oneness. People of all religious backgrounds, all cultures, races, ethnicities, everyone is welcome to come and pray according to their own religious belief. We have prayer services held at the house of worship, where we read from different holy scriptures like the Bhagavad Gita, like Bible, Quran, Baha'i prayers, Buddhist scriptures and so on. And everyone is welcome to participate in these prayer services where these holy writings are read.
Designed by Iranian architect Fariborz Sabha, the temple's architecture was conceived and constructed in the shape of a lotus. In keeping with the significance of this flower in the spiritual spheres of both Hinduism and Buddhism in India. The lotus is the ultimate symbol of breaking free from the chains of bondage, yet remaining in the world, much like the flower growing out of the mud and yet remaining above it. This design was very appropriate and unique because before it, no other temple or place of worship had ever been constructed like this. Using a combination of dolomite, marble, cement and sand, the 27 petals of the structure in white were constructed to resemble a lotus in full bloom. There are 9 ponds surrounding the structure, each reflecting the temple in the shape of leaves surrounding the lotus flower, making it a truly breathtaking sight.
I would like to point some of the beautiful beautification of the structure. That is, the marble is not fixed to the concrete on the leaves. They have a gap, and the cold air from here goes through these gaps, helping it to keep the building cool. The warm air goes up and the cool air rushes from here into that. Where we look at this beautiful structure over here, and which is also standing on pillars that are supported by Dunlop Company rubbers, which help the building, saves the building from a light earthquake from there. Here we look at this structure over here, where I told you about the leaf, where the concreting is there. The marble that is fixed has a gap between the concrete and the marble, where the air rushes from down and comes up and keeps the building cool at all times and all.
The architect, who's Canadian origin, Mr. Fariborz Sabha, he explained to us how he traveled to different parts of the country to understand about the culture of the country. He said wherever he went, any place of worship, he just couldn't escape the lotus. So every religious place he went to, he found lotus either on the idols or carved on the walls. As he couldn't escape the lotus, he felt that this has a very strong connection with religion in India.
The beauty of the temple is breathtaking and it makes everyone admire the purity in silence for a few minutes before heading inside. The temple stands in the middle of lush greenery with manicured lawns and flower beds, adding a divine touch to the entire scene. You can bring along picnic baskets and relax here as you soak in the sunlight.
As you can see, the temple has its timings. Right now it is open from 8 o'clock until 5 p.m. And we have the information center where the visitors can go to visit to know more and learn more about the house of worship, about the history of the Baha'i faith, about what the Baha'is are doing currently around the world, the various socio-economic development projects taking place around the world, and also to be connected with the Baha'i community wherever they are from. The visitors also go to the house of worship to attend prayer service or to spend some moments for silent meditation and to pray according to their own religious belief. So visitors often like to come and spend about an hour and a half here at the temple.
Before stepping into the temple, all footwear must be removed like any other place of worship in India, be it a Hindu temple, Gurdwara, or a mosque. The interiors are just unpredictable, considering what one expects from the stunning exterior facade of the temple. There is nothing inside. No structures, idols, or religious symbols to indicate that this is a house of worship. Only rows upon rows of seats like a church. The temple is open for all to visit, regardless of their religion, gender, or nationality, thereby professing the unity of mankind.
The purpose of having this house of worship is where we can also practice worship alongside service. So the two elements that complement each other is service and worship, which are inseparable. And service is linked with our community life. So when we come to the temple, when we come to a place of worship, we pray, we reflect on the words of God, but also how this prayer gives us that energy and enthusiasm and hope to go and serve in our communities. So we know that there are many neighborhoods around the house of worship where the youth, particularly the young generation, are very much engaged in building of their communities. So they're engaged in taking classes for the moral education of the children. They are looking after different groups where groups of families sit together and pray, utter the words of God. So there are various programs in which the families are engaged in to have a better community life.
The peace and stillness felt inside the temple hall are like a weight being lifted from the shoulders, and the time seems to stand still until the spell is broken and it's time to get back to the madness of the real world. Entry is free for all, and the temple remains closed on Mondays.
The principles of the Baha'i faith include the oneness of religion, oneness of God, and oneness of humanity, which is the main purpose of building this house of worship. Among the teachings of Baha'u'llah is also the equality of women and men. And so we try to implement these teachings in our day-to-day life. As a family, we implement this principle of equality of women and men. In an institution, as an institution, we practice this principle. In the community life, we practice these principles. So there are many principles that Baha'u'llah has brought, which we believe are right for this time and this age. Like compulsory education is one of the principles. So every Baha'i is encouraged to participate in education, to make sure that their family members are receiving education, to ensure that their community in which they live are also benefited from education.
So come by and experience the soul-saving peace and calm in Bahapur Kalkaji once the pandemic threats are gone away.